time to take a look at the story of the day. RCL Foods, which owns Rainbow Chicken, plans to restructure its commodity chicken operation. The country's second largest chicken producer attributes this move to the high level of cheap imports, which rose to 43% since last year. On average, 27,500 tons of chicken imports come into the country every month. However, COSATU is against this move, saying RCL is taking advantage of the disputes between the Food and Allied Workers Union. COSATU says the move will lead to 1,200 jobs being lost. And joining us is South African Poultry Association CEO, Kevin Lovell. Thanks, Kevin, for your time. Just how dire is the situation, especially when it comes to imports and having to maintain your profits as well as the local producers?
Well, the first thing to realize is that imports in total are about 1.25 times the biggest company in South Africa. So
put that in perspective.
What that means, Astral's the biggest company in South Africa, Rainbow the second biggest, and what we are importing is 1.25 times the size of Astral. So imports are a huge problem. In very simple terms, every 10,000 tons of meat we import means we lose over 1,000 direct and indirect jobs. We can produce all the chicken the country needs, we just can't afford to do it because the rubbish the leftovers get sold in South Africa from the that are imported here. And if we could just change that, we can change the trajectory of where we're going. Rainbow are not the first to cut back. A family-owned company in Polokwane, running for nearly 40 years, has shut down. It was gone into business rescue. They've lost well over 1,000 jobs. Well, the third biggest company has been trying to close down its abattoir in Mahikeng. And they're going to there's about 1,500 people on the way out as well. We're expecting another 4,000 to 5,000 perhaps by the end of this year. So Rainbows, it's not the news of today, it's the news of this year. We're in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, hasn't the horse bolted already? If you look at the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, in the sense that the policy has been established and even ratified and implemented. So whatever happens next, as producers, workers, labor, etc., it's very difficult to change.
Well, it's not. AGOA is added to the problem. AGOA isn't the problem. The problem is imports mostly from the European Union, also quite a bit from Brazil. And then add on top of that, you get the imports from the US. To be fair to everybody, less than half of what we expected to come from the US has arrived. Why? It's harder to speculate why. But AGOA could have been a bigger problem than it is now.
Okay, so who are the nemesis here? Brazil, the EU?
Yeah, it's mostly the EU. And primarily, our nemesis is the fact that the developed world doesn't eat all of a chicken. And what for them are leftovers are what we really like to eat, the leg quarters, the dark meat, because we kind of like to eat with our hands, eat off the bone. It tastes better anyway than the breast meat. And so their rubbish is our first product. So they get rid of their rubbish, and it takes away local jobs. And it's not just South Africa. In Ghana, the industry was destroyed by imports from the European Union. Now, we don't hassle if the Europeans want to eat in one way, that's fine, but don't send your diet to us, because that's what happens in Africa.
Yeah, but isn't it a supply and demand issue that local producers are not able to produce adequately for the populace?
We did a study with a university in the Netherlands. It was done by a South African university and the Dutch university. And we can produce chicken cheaper than any European country. We can produce chicken almost as cheaply as the Americans. So we're good farmers. It's simply that they are dumping, they're selling it below the real cost. And who can solve this? Not us, only government. So we're in government's hands. If government wants this industry not to fall apart, we could be the next clothing and textile industry, could be the steel industry, which, as everyone knows, is very close to either going to survive or it's going to fail. And will we fail completely? No. Will we shrink dramatically? Yes.
So are you saying that the job losses are imminent and there's nothing you can do unless there's government intervention
Correct.
of some level of protectionism for the industry?
Well, we kind of like to see, don't call it protectionism, we try to see take away the unfairness. Because we could cope with fair trade because we're competitive, we're good farmers. We can take animal feed, turn it into human food effectively and well. But we can't do it when the prices that come in from abroad are distorted. That's really what the problem is. So we want to do trade things that make it harder for the foreigners to trade unfairly with us. If we were to succeed, by the way, it just means they're going to hurt some other developing country elsewhere in the world.
All right, so the gist of this, of it all is that this is a price war when it comes to chicken. The Brazilians and Europeans are bringing in cheaper, and you're unable to compete at that level for the local market. Wow. So what do you do?
Well, we've been working for years now with government, and they've tried to support us, but every measure we take, the importers go, and they just go around the corner and they manage to circumvent it. They're very good at that. So we have to find measures that are harder for them to circumvent. And I think government's starting to kind of get the message. We made a sacrifice for South Africa with AGOA, and we sort of as an industry expected that government would do something in return. And I think government might be a little bit uncomfortable that they haven't given us anything yet.
So isn't it maybe also conscientizing the market in that, the patriotism, buying local, proudly SA, can come into play here because we have a better understanding of what impact imports have on various sectors?
I've often felt that, but to get the producers to feel the same way is not always that straightforward. And they always say to me, most of the consumers will buy whatever costs the least, because that's how most people buy most things, not just food. So saying it's South African won't necessarily make a difference to the bulk of the market, because unfortunately most South Africans have limited incomes.
Yeah, but the trade unions are obviously now breathing down your neck, saying that this is not a true reflection of the reality that you
No, it's very much a true reflection of the reality. But we work as an association with FAWU, and nothing to do with whether they're in COSATU or not, because they're the biggest agricultural union. And what they understand that if we cannot be profitable, their members' jobs are at threat. So everybody's got a vested interest in dealing with the unfair trade. The workers, the managers, the owners, the country. We have to make jobs, create jobs in South Africa. No jobs, we're not going to go anywhere. Can we create chicken jobs? Yes. How many chicken jobs? 20, 30,000 if we manage to actually constrain imports. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, but what are your expectations from government?
The expectations are that they deliver on mechanisms which will reduce the volume of trade from abroad, so that South African companies can actually produce profitably and grow and actually satisfy the market and hopefully become more of an exporter as well.
Yeah, but are you having advanced discussions on this?
Yeah, we have. Advanced discussions is not the same as success, though. We've been having advanced discussions for quite some time.
So anything coming out of anything tangible or meaningful?
Well, anything tangible is we hope to hear within the next month whether government is going to support us in imports from the EU. And this is an investigation that's been running since, well, we submitted initially in October, but it started officially in February this year. And hopefully by around about the end of this year, roughly, we'll know, is it going to work or not? Now, obviously the Europeans are saying, well, if you get rid of if you stop us dumping chicken in South Africa, we're going to be difficult on something else. That's how trade works. So although our case is strong, government still has to consider, well, how nasty are they going to be to us?
Especially on the wine.
Well, there's more for us to drink then.
Kevin, thanks so much for your time. Let us know the details of your engagements and we'll let it know to our viewers. That's the South African Poultry Association CEO Kevin Lovell talking to us about the pressure in the poultry sector and the potential job losses. But it's a story that we'll be following